Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a fascinating topic that blends spirituality, history, and global politics, the succession of the Dalai Lama. Who is the Dalai Lama? How is their successor chosen? And why is the selection of the 15th Dalai Lama sparking international debate? In this video, we'll take you from the origins of this ancient tradition to the modern-day drama, with every detail you need to know. So, stick around till the end, and if you enjoy this, hit that like button, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe for more. Section 1. Who is the Dalai Lama? The Dalai Lama is the spiritual leader of Tibetan Buddhism, revered as an incarnation of Avalokiteshvara, the Bodhisattva of compassion. In simple terms, each Dalai Lama is believed to be the reborn soul of the previous one, carrying forward a legacy of wisdom and compassion. This tradition dates back to the 15th century, with 14 Dalai Lamas so far. The current 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, was born on July 6, 1935, and was identified as the Dalai Lama at just 2 years old. But how exactly is a Dalai Lama chosen? And why is this process now at the center of a global controversy? Let's break it down step by step. Section 2. The origins and historical background of the Dalai Lama. The story of the Dalai Lama begins in the 15th century, and it's as mystical as the snow-capped peaks of Tibet. The first Dalai Lama, Gedun Drub, 1391–1474, was a revered Buddhist monk who founded the Gelug school of Tibetan Buddhism, one of the most influential spiritual traditions in Tibet. He also established the Tashi Lumpo monastery, a hub of learning and spirituality that still stands today. After his passing, his disciple Gedun Gyatso, 1475–1542, was recognized as his reincarnation, laying the foundation for the Dalai Lama lineage, a tradition rooted in the belief that enlightened beings can choose to be reborn to continue their mission of compassion. Fast forward to the 16th century, and the third Dalai Lama, Sonam Gyatso, 1543–1588, took this tradition to new heights. He caught the attention of Altan Khan, a powerful Mongol leader who was so inspired by Sonam Gyatso's teachings that he bestowed the title Dalai Lama upon him. In Mongolian, Dalai means ocean, and Lama means guru in Tibetan, translating to ocean of wisdom. This title was so profound that it was retroactively applied to Gedun Drub and Gedun Gyatso, cementing the lineage. Fun fact: this meeting wasn't just a spiritual milestone, it sparked the spread of Tibetan Buddhism across Mongolia, creating a cultural bridge that lasts to this day. By the 17th century, the fifth Dalai Lama, Ngawang Lobsang Gyatso, 1617–1682, known as the Great Fifth, transformed the role of the Dalai Lama forever. He wasn't just a spiritual figure, he became a political powerhouse. He established the Garden Podrang government, uniting Tibet under a single administration with the Dalai Lama as both spiritual and temporal leader. He also commissioned the iconic Potala Palace in Lhasa, a breathtaking fortress perched on a hilltop with over 1,000 rooms and 10,000 shrines. Imagine the engineering feat of building this in the 1600s. The Potala Palace became a symbol of Tibetan identity and resilience, and it's still a UNESCO World Heritage Site today. However, this era also saw the first signs of foreign influence. The Qing dynasty in China began asserting control over Tibet, introducing the controversial Golden Urn system in 1793. This was a lottery-style process, where names of potential reincarnations were drawn from a golden urn to select high lamas, including the Dalai Lama. While not always used, it marked the beginning of China's attempts to influence Tibetan spiritual affairs, a tension that continues today. The Dalai Lamas remained Tibet's spiritual and political leaders until the 20th century. But everything changed in 1950 when China annexed Tibet. In 1959, the 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, was forced to flee to India after a failed uprising against Chinese rule. He settled in Dharamshala, Himachal Pradesh, where he established the Tibetan government in exile. Since then, he's become a global icon of peace, winning the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989 for his non-violent advocacy for Tibetan freedom. His journey from a young boy in a remote Tibetan village to a world-renowned figure is nothing short of extraordinary, but it sets the stage for the challenges of choosing his successor. Section 3. The selection process of the Dalai Lama, a sacred tradition. The process of selecting a Dalai Lama is one of the most fascinating and spiritual traditions in the world. It's not just about finding a child, it's about identifying the reincarnated soul of Avalokiteshvara, the embodiment of compassion. This process is steeped in mysticism, guided by signs, rituals, and centuries-old practices. Let's walk through it step by step with some incredible stories to bring it to life. Seeking signs, a spiritual quest. When a Dalai Lama passes away, the search for their reincarnation begins with a series of divine signs. Senior monks, regents, temporary leaders, and oracles look for clues in various forms. The Dalai Lama's clues. Many Dalai Lamas leave hints during their lifetime about where their next incarnation will be born. For example, the 13th Dalai Lama, Thupten Gyatso, indicated his rebirth would occur in northeastern Tibet before his death in 1933. Lamo Latso Lake. This sacred lake in Tibet is central to the process. High lamas meditate by its shores, seeking visions that reveal the location or identity of the next Dalai Lama. When searching for the 14th Dalai Lama, Regent Reting Rinpoche had a vision at Lamo Latso, showing a monastery, a house with a specific roof, and other landmarks that led to Tenzin Gyatso's village. Natural signs. Nature often plays a role. After the 13th Dalai Lama's death, his body reportedly turned to face the northeast, and the smoke from his cremation drifted in the same direction, guiding the search party to the Amdo region of Tibet. Dreams and prophecies. Lamas and astrologers consult dreams, oracles, and Tibetan astrology to narrow down the search. It's like a cosmic treasure hunt, blending spirituality and intuition. Finding the child, a sacred mission. Once signs point to a specific region, a search party, made up of senior monks, lamas, and sometimes the regent, travels to find children born around the time of the previous Dalai Lama's passing. A real-life example. When searching for the 14th Dalai Lama, the team traveled to the village of Taktse in 1937. There, they met a 2-year-old boy named Lamo Dondup, later Tenzin Gyatso. When the head Lama, disguised as a servant, approached the boy, he immediately recognized him, calling out his name and asking for a rosary that belonged to the 13th Dalai Lama. This moment sent chills down the search party's spines. The team visits villages, talks to locals, and looks for children showing unusual traits, like an affinity for Buddhist practices or exceptional intelligence. It's a meticulous process, often spanning months or years. The test. Identifying the soul. Once potential candidates are identified, they undergo a series of tests to confirm they are the true reincarnation. This is where the process gets truly magical. Recognizing possessions. The child is shown personal items of the previous Dalai Lama, like a rosary, walking stick, or bell, mixed with similar but fake items. They must correctly identify the authentic ones. When Tenzin Gyatso was tested, he not only picked out the 13th Dalai Lama's belongings, but also called the search party members by their names from his past life. Recalling past lives. Some children recount details of their previous life, like places or events only the Dalai Lama would know. For instance, the 9th Dalai Lama, Lungtok Gyatso, reportedly described his former monastery and specific incidents, astonishing the Lamas. Behavioral traits. The child's demeanor is closely observed. Do they show compassion, wisdom, or a natural inclination towards spiritual practices? These qualities are seen as signs of their divine nature. Confirmation and training. A new Dalai Lama. Once a child is identified, their selection is confirmed by the Garden Phodrang Institution, the official body overseeing the Dalai Lama's lineage. The child is then taken to Lhasa, where they are formally enthroned as the Dalai Lama. Training. From a young age, the Dalai Lama undergoes rigorous training in Buddhist scriptures, philosophy, tantric practices, and leadership. For example, Tenzin Gyatso began his education at 6, studying in Lhasa's monasteries while also learning governance skills to lead Tibet. Role of the Panchen Lama. Traditionally, the Panchen Lama, the second highest spiritual leader in Tibetan Buddhism, plays a key role in identifying and training the Dalai Lama, and vice versa. This symbiotic relationship ensures the continuity of spiritual leadership. The Golden Urn. A controversial addition. In the 18th century, the Qing dynasty introduced the Golden Urn system, where names of potential candidates were placed in a golden urn, and a name was drawn in a lottery-like process. This was an attempt by China to control the selection of high lamas. While used in some cases, it wasn't always followed. Neither the 13th nor the 14th Dalai Lama was chosen this way. Interestingly, the urn was kept in Beijing's Yonghe Temple, symbolizing the blend of politics and religion. Today, China insists on using this system, but the Tibetan community rejects it as a tool of political interference. Modern challenges. The selection process, though deeply spiritual, faces modern hurdles. The 14th Dalai Lama's identification in 1937 was a triumph of tradition. But today, China's political influence and the Tibetan diaspora's exile in places like India complicate things. The Dalai Lama has suggested his successor might be born outside China, possibly in India, to avoid interference. He's even floated the idea of naming his successor during his lifetime, a radical departure from tradition. This process isn't just about finding a leader. It's a testament to Tibetan Buddhism's belief in reincarnation and the enduring power of compassion. Section 4. The current Dalai Lama and the controversy. The 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, turned 90 in July 2025, and his advancing age has made the question of his successor a global issue. But this isn't just a spiritual matter. It's a geopolitical flashpoint. Here's why. China's role. Since annexing Tibet in 1951, China has sought to control Tibetan Buddhism. They claim the right to select the next Dalai Lama, citing the Golden Urn system. In 1995, when the Dalai Lama named Gedhun Choekyi Nyima as the 11th Panchen Lama, China abducted the 6-year-old boy, who remains missing to this day. They appointed their own Panchen Lama, Gyaltsen Norbu, who is rejected by most Tibetans. China insists the next Dalai Lama must be born within its borders and selected by its government, raising fears of a politically motivated choice. The Dalai Lama's stance. Tenzin Gyatso has been clear. His successor will likely be born outside China, in a free world, possibly India, to avoid Chinese control. He's suggested he might appoint his successor during his lifetime, breaking with tradition to ensure authenticity. He's also said the Dalai Lama lineage could end if Tibetans deem it unnecessary, a possibility he first raised in 1969. In 2011, he issued a statement promising clear guidelines for his succession by age 90 to prevent manipulation, though no specific successor has been named as of July 2025. International support. India, where the Dalai Lama has lived in exile since 1959, and the Tibetan diaspora will only recognize a successor chosen by him. The US passed the Tibet Policy and Support Act in 2020, affirming Tibetans' right to choose their leaders and declaring Chinese interference a violation of religious freedom. Mongolia, with its deep ties to Tibetan Buddhism, could also play a role in supporting the Tibetan community's choice. Section 5. Possible scenarios. So, who will be the next Dalai Lama? Here are the potential paths. Traditional reincarnation. A child could be identified after current Dalai Lama's passing, likely in India or another free country, using traditional methods. Lifetime appointment. The Dalai Lama might name his successor while still alive, ensuring continuity and bypassing Chinese interference. Dual Dalai Lamas. There's a risk of 2 Dalai Lamas, one chosen by the Tibetan community and one by China, potentially splitting the Buddhist world. End of the lineage. The Dalai Lama has suggested the tradition could end if Tibetans no longer need it. Section 6. Why it matters to the world. The Dalai Lama's succession isn't just a Tibetan issue, it's a global one. For the US and UK, it's about religious freedom and standing against authoritarian control. India, as the Dalai Lama's host since 1959, faces a delicate balance, supporting the Tibetan community while managing tensions with China. The outcome could shape international relations and the future of Tibetan culture. Section 7. Conclusion. The Dalai Lama's succession is more than a religious ritual. It's a symbol of Tibet's identity, resilience, and fight for freedom. The 14th Dalai Lama, Tenzin Gyatso, has inspired millions with his message of peace, earning the Nobel Peace Prize in 1989. As his 90th birthday passes, the world watches to see how this ancient tradition will navigate modern challenges. Will the Tibetan community preserve its sacred process, or will China impose its will? Only time will tell. What do you think? Will the Dalai Lama tradition continue, or is it time for a new chapter? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you found this video insightful, give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and hit that subscribe button with the bell icon so you never miss an update. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.